when you have nothing to lose, I think sometimes you go and give your best. What do you lose? You just go. You're anyways young. Just give it a shot. What do you stand to lose? I used to go from Bangalore to Chennai almost every weekend. And when I am in the train, and this is like, you get an identity crisis. At least I was getting that. Like when I see the train, it's all like same developers, people in software, all going. No offense, but I felt I had an identity crisis. So I really wanted to do something, create something and build something. The first business that I actually started, I didn't have sufficient savings. It was just like, let me just jump in and do it, which is not a great thing to do. It worked out for me, but it could not have worked out also. So
I think it's a good food for thought. And everyone out there who's on the edge of his seat contemplating whether you should not do it or not do it, just take a shot. You'll miss 100% of shots that you take, as Paddy said. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Fintechkibaat Dil Se. In this episode, we have with us Paddy Raghavan, founder of Multipl, a startup which is bringing a unique perspective to investing while also spending on your favorite things. And he's here to tell us all about it. Hey Paddy, thank you so much for taking the time and being on the show.
Thanks a lot, Shreyas. Good to be on your show. Pleasure talking to you and look forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you here, and I'm super excited to hear about this unique concept. You always hear about things like, EMI pe khareed lo, ya, buy things on credit or buy it after you save for it and all of that. But spend investing is something interesting. And I'm pretty sure we'll deep dive into it in our second segment called Fintechkibaat. But this segment, the first one, it's called The Founder's Story. And this is all about you, right? So let's start. Let's take it from the top. Tell us all about yourself and what got you into the entrepreneurship. Over to you.
Yep, sure. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, my own story, it's I think most of the Indian founders and entrepreneurs would have something similar, today, classic middle class background where you sort of grow with a lot of aspirations, right? You don't have access to a lot of things, so you really have these aspirations to get those things, do well in life. Very typical from that standpoint. Did my master's from IIIT Bangalore, and then I was at EMC Data Storage Systems as in the product management team. Got exposed to cloud very early, like in 2007, 2008. Got an exposure to cloud. So I was really fascinated by what cloud was offering. So I used to be at EMC, and we were actually, every time back in 2007, 2008, you would want to request a server box. You place an order, and it has to come from Malaysia. It takes about a month or get the customs clearance and all that before you get your hands on the server box, storage box. It takes about a month and a half or even sometimes 2 months. And then this is how we were operating. And then suddenly I came across something called S3 and then EC2. I was like, what is this? Let me just learn about this. And then you could actually run some APIs, and then you get access to the similar storage boxes in seconds or even less, right? So this is like mind-blowing for me. What was taking a month or two, and then you could do this in seconds. So I got really fascinated by the potential of this. So started, I moved out of EMC and started working on my first startup in the cloud space on AWS. And then, that sort of got my whole startup journey on. Built that, was doing this for about 4 years. And then we were actually doing some services work for businesses like AirAsia in, KL, Nielsen Media in US. They were actually doing a bunch of things, migrating companies to the cloud, and then moved on to start my product-based company called Compute.io. Built this for about 4 years. Part of Alchemist Accelerator in the Bay Area, Bangalore and Bay Area, doing the solid for a good 4-5 years, which was a product which helps people to optimize their cloud costs. So built this about 4.5 years before we got acquired by Cisco. And then post that acquisition, now I've started working on Multipl. But yeah, that's been my professional journey. But startup has been something that I was always fascinated. Even back in my college days, I'd actually participated in many business plan competitions. Wanted always to build something, create something. So that's something I don't know where I picked it up, but just got lucky. But that's been my orientation.
Got it. So to put it crudely in Hindi, ऐसे वो startup का कीड़ा पहले से ही था. You just had to find the right idea कि कब और कैसे करना है, right?
बिल्कुल.
Amazing. So one interesting यार, आपके सारे startups अभी तक has always been in tech, and Multipl is the first one that you got into the finance side of things, investment side of things. How did that happen? What made you switch?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a fascinating question, because a lot of times I do get this question from even investors. A classic traditional enterprise SaaS guy, how are you doing a B2C fintech?
Exactly.
Of course, tech is there in this fintech as well. So that is what one part that I do carry forward. But even back in my college days, I had participated in business and competitions, like I was saying, in IIT Chennai. We won some prize there, but it was the concept that I had presented was around the credit card and fintech. This was back in 2003 time frame. So and that was a proper B2C consumer fintech play. Of course, we couldn't take this into a product or build a company on that, but that's something that I was always thinking more from a consumer standpoint. It's just that I got into enterprise later. So I always wanted to do a consumer product, which is something that I was very keen to do a consumer product, and when I got this opportunity with Multipl, just jumped into it.
Awesome. So pehle se hi you were interested in this the B2C product side, and even to certain extent even fintech, right? So
correct.
When you found the opportunity, you got into it. But yeah, awesome. So a couple of questions, right? And I tend to ask this to all the founders who come to the show. So one is ki, what inspired you, or what gave you that confidence कि नहीं यार ये जो अच्छी खासी नौकरी चल रही थी मेरी वो छोड़ छाड़ के इनकम बंद करके कूद जाओ?
Yeah. So no, it's again when you have nothing to lose, I think sometimes you go and give your best. Right? So I was pretty much one is that, right? What do you lose? You just go. You're anyways young. Just give it a shot. What do you stand to lose? You have some education. You have some backing. My wife was working. So if at all we'll figure it out. Worst case, we'll find out something. Is how I was actually taking this movie. That's sort of an entrepreneurial mindset. Probably the risk-taking ability, or also the other factor is, so I used to be in Bangalore. My parents were living in Chennai. So I used to do this weekend train travel. Every weekend I used to go from Bangalore to Chennai almost every weekend. And when I am in the train, and this is like you get an identity crisis. At least I was getting that. Like when I see the train, it's all like same developers, people in software, all going. So you really felt like, what am I doing? We should be doing something different. We can't just be doing the same thing. No offense, but I felt I had an identity crisis. So I really wanted to do something, create something and build something. The other factor is, of course, like I didn't have much to lose. So I really wanted to give it a shot.
No, perfect. I think that is super interesting. That essentially is a driver for a lot of founders to यार कि कुछ अलग करना है. I have to be different. I can't be just a cog in the system. There has to be a way. Either I create the system or I create something new.
Yep.
That is one thing that drives, and the second thing is impact, right? And I think both are present in your case as well. Amazing. So great. So moving on to the journey of building Multipl, right? When you moved in from your previous the cloud startup into the Multipl piece, what were some of the few problems that you faced that you never anticipated? कि यार अरे अच्छा ऐसा भी हो सकता है, यहीं भी हमें भी अटक सकते हैं.
Yeah. No. Again, like you mentioned earlier, right? Enterprise and to shifting from an enterprise SaaS startup to a consumer startup, it is definitely a big shift. There are some fundamentals around building a business, around building a company, building a team that would be common. But in terms of how you are actually building this and how this is going to the product market fit, or how you would actually do this, it's definitely something new. That it was like there were a lot of uncertainties around that, right? How would you do this?
Right.
I've not built a mobile app before, though I've been an active consumer of it, not something that I built. So those were things that initially, spent a lot of time understanding, learning. So there were like good amount of learning that happened before you actually do this. But again, you get those learnings when you actually make some mistakes and really get this understanding. Yeah, those were the primary challenges, I would say, in terms of shifting from an enterprise to consumer. The
Right.
advantage, of course, is there are fundamentals that you would anyway have to do, whether it is building the team, the tech itself, the software, the system architecture, design, those elements, and also in terms of building something, right? So that I was having that fortunate to have that experience that I could carry forward here.
True. Got it. Taking a step back, right? This is more relevant to the previous question that I asked. What essentially the question that I asked you earlier was what kind of sorry, I missed that, but the idea is what inspired you to get into entrepreneurship, that piece, and how do you plan for it by dropping a salary job? Now, in context to that, I've had a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs come and ask yahan pe, how do you plan for this? How do you financially prepare for this? Any suggestions or any tips for this?
Yeah, I can talk from my own experience what worked for me. One is, of course, I did a lot of reading. I was fortunate to get hands on, Mark Andreessen's post, P-Markup, the blog post that around 2007, 2008. He had like a lot of brilliant articles and blog posts on product market fit. How do you, what is a product? How do you market this? How do you build a product? A lot of these initial and today I think people have so much more access. It's a lot more easier to get that understanding. Back in 2007, 2008, it was more like I was fortunate to get access to some of these materials that really gave me a lot of grounding, a lot of foundational sort of learning, right? So that really helped. It's about confidence, right? If I have to say what really people need to have, it is the confidence, and the confidence comes from understanding. You cannot have a false bravado sort of thing. I can do this. You can do this, but get those foundational things sorted, then you can actually do this with more confidence. So I would say confidence which comes from understanding whether it is your own subject, go deeper into that, or a broader product building sort of a thing. If you have that confidence, I think that helps you take your first steps.
So this also is like a really valid point. My question was more pertinent to how do you financially plan for this, right? Like,
okay.
कैसे बचाएंगे, कैसे frugality रहेंगे, all of those things.
Yeah. So in my case, I was probably I don't know. It's not a very sane thing to do, because if I were to think about it, it was not financially planned. I just took a fund, right? Of course, the bigger thing was for me. I had my wife who was working, so that was the support. That was the plan B. That I had some level of comfort, but otherwise I didn't have a savings to actually build. The first business that I actually started, I didn't have sufficient savings. It was just like, let me just jump in and do it, which is not a great thing to do. It worked out for me, but it could not have worked out also. So I didn't plan, to be honest. Financially, I didn't have a plan B when I actually started. The plan B was my wife.
Understood. So in hindsight, when you look at this, in the answer that you previously gave, it had kind of really beautifully connects with what you just said, right? Since you had confidence and you had enough knowledge about the thing that you want to do, and you had enough confidence, you were confident enough to take that jump कि यार चलो कोई income नहीं है, कोई savings नहीं है, फिर भी I have my wife who will essentially settle and do all the basics and do everything that is needed, and I'll get into the business.
Correct.
So I think that connects really beautifully. And a quick question, right? Like if given a chance, or if you were to go back in time, would you do it all over again?
Yeah, I think I'm built that way. I would definitely do it. Maybe a lot of bruises along the way, but I think that's what makes life interesting. So I would definitely do it.
Definitely.
But it's not a fun ride for sure. I've had my fair shares of more lows than highs. It's like, I think Rahul Dravid had once quoted on cricketers average, right? You actually fail a lot more than you get your centuries. But the centuries really give you that that confidence. So you really want to play the game. So that's the same thing here as well. So for me, I would definitely do that again, but it comes with a lot of tasks. You just have to be built for it or be ready to take them.
That is beautiful. I think the parallel with the cricket and what Rahul Dravid said, you have to, like, the number of centuries are lesser than the number of failures, but the century gives you the height to ride it out. Amazing. Coming to the next question that I really wanted to talk about, and I ask a lot of founders and get a very diverse set of answers. So I'm really curious to see which bucket do you fall. What has your approach been while building a startup? Let's talk about one is when you look at the Multipl piece and the previous startups as well. Do you go and get your first funding right away, or do you build a PMF, or do you bootstrap it till you hit a revenue and then get the funding? Which of the three buckets do you fall in?
Yeah, for me, of course, if you can get the funding and start, nothing like it, but I don't think there are guys going to get that. So I had to build it, bootstrap, and then raise money. That's how it worked, both in my previous company and at Multipl. So and definitely bootstrapping again. I did when I say I, even my other founders. So we did a lot of we put a lot at stake. To the level of pledging my only property and all that, right? I mean, of course, it's not recommended. I would not recommend that. So just a very big disclaimer.
Right.
So please don't follow this, because it worked out for me.
Right.
I got lucky. I'm keep repeating that because there is a lot of luck that goes your way to get things right. Beyond a lot of other things, being great, being confident, being good at what you're doing. All of these things are important, but there also things have to work in your favor. So I did those stupid things, but it worked out. But it's not something that I would recommend everyone to do. But somewhere you need to have that passion.
Got it. No, I see. Like when you were answering the question, I remembered a line that we normally see in movies: "The stunts here are performed by professionals. Do not try this at home."
That's a good one. Yeah.
I think great. I think pretty interesting journey. I think you have had of building multiple startups and now at Multipl. Having said that, right, this brings me to the final question for this segment, which essentially is less of a question and more of asking for a suggestion or asking for tips from you for the audience out there who's essentially at a stage wherein they are contemplating taking that leap of faith into entrepreneurship, and maybe some students also who are kind of getting just graduating and getting into entrepreneurship. So what is your recommendation? You can also say not recommended.
No, I would absolutely recommend it. Much needed. People should do it. If you're thinking about it, please do it, because India as a country and as an economy, it's really suited for that. But we need those entrepreneurs to take the country forward. So, 100%, I want to recommend that. Few things to look into, like when I first started to the time that we are in, I think people have a lot more access, be it infrastructure cost, be it access to venture capital. There are so many accelerators, so many people who've actually gone through this cycle now. Because as a country, we've got that experienced a set of entrepreneurs today, which people can tap into. So the ecosystem has definitely improved, and something that people can be more comfortable taking that step towards entrepreneurship. So that's the good part, and definitely the country needs it. That's the other aspect of it. A few things that people have to be sort of not wary about, but just have to be pragmatic and be practical in terms of how they do this. Of course, like I said, have some confidence in terms of what you're building, some basic due diligence. Today this is much easier. Personally, I'm not a guy who likes to build something which is already there and just do that Danda ke liye we can just create another one. We know there is money here. Let's go and do this. No offense to that kind of an approach, but I'm not personally a guy who does that. Even in my previous startup, Compute was a very unique product. The way we built it, it was something that was not there using AWS cost optimization. We were the first ones globally to actually do that.
Wow.
Even on that part. And with Multipl also, we will talk about it, but even here, this is completely unique product. So personally, I'm very fascinated about creating things which are not there. That gives me a lot more, happiness. But that need not be the case for every entrepreneur. There are business opportunities, but the point I was going to make was be very clear about what is it that you're building, understand the opportunity.
Right.
Of course, the success is not something that is guaranteed. So don't look at the monetary outcome alone when we are actually building, because that puts a lot of pressure if things don't work out, and things will not work out, right, in most cases. So just don't do this for the monetary outcome. Of course, the monetary outcome, if things work out, it will be there. Financial outcome should be good, but that cannot be the driver for someone to create the business. It should be more about creating things, building things. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship, not just the what is your personal outcome that you can get out of it, right? Financial outcome should not be the primary driver. If you keep that aside and then you sort of do this for passion, do this with an understanding of the market opportunity, the dynamics. Today the data, the information is it's so easy to get this with OpenAI and so many other generative AI platforms or AI tools that are available. Getting information, getting that clarity is a lot easier and lot cheaper. So people can do those due diligence. How good is the market, and what is the team that you're going to build this with? What sort of synergies you have? Once you are having these ground level checklists done, I think people should jump in. Whether you are a college student or you are a seasoned pro 40. I've seen many in my age group who've been like thinking about, hey, I should start. I'm thinking of starting a business, but they never got to do it, right? So some financial pressure, some other the comfort doesn't let them do it. But I would encourage everyone to give it a shot. In fact, my the status that I have on my WhatsApp and other places is you miss 100% of the shots you never take. Just give it a shot. You don't lose anything, right?
Indeed. I think that is very beautifully said, and it leaves me as well as the audience with a lot to think about. I think it's a good food for thought, and everyone out there who's on the edge of his seat contemplating whether you should not do it or not do it, just take a shot. You'll miss 100% of shots that you take, as Paddy said. Anyways, I think with that, we wrap up the first segment. Thank you so much for doing this, and this has been super insightful. I'll see you shortly in our next segment, Enthusiast.
Thank you very much.